presented by Principal. Early morning on a cold and snowy day in Burlington, Vermont. Nothing to do? Think again. As early as 6:30 this morning, students were lined up to get tickets to the big game in town this year. We've got a standing room only crowd of 3,266 to see one of these two teams go dancing in just about 2 hours. It's the America East Conference Championship game between UMBC and Vermont. And welcome everybody to Patrick Gymnasium. Doug Sherman along with Mark Plansky. Olivia Harlan will join us shortly. And what more needs to be said, Mark, than an NCAA tournament bid is on the line?
Oh, this is what you play for as a player, Doug. Double sessions in the summertime, all those weights during the wintertime. You can't get another person in Patrick Gymnasium. I can't wait.
At this time of year, seniors are such a key to winning teams. Both these teams are flush with very good upperclassmen.
You know, Jairus Lyle's first team all-conference team and the team's leading scorer. KJ Moore is the playmaker, all 5'8". But they're playing against two great seniors as well. Two-time conference player of the year in Trey Bell Haynes and forward Peyton Henson, who is in a great shooting rhythm in this tournament.
We bring in Olivia with more on KJ.
Well, Mark was talking about how small KJ Moore is, and he's actually the lightest player in Division I basketball and the shortest to ever win Defensive Player of the Year in his conference. And just for context, guys, and leaving numbers out of it, him and I stack up pretty evenly. So how did he get here? He grew up in Puerto Rico, and his dad, Melvin, is a huge Lakers fan and encouraged him to play basketball. They watched a lot of NBA games together, and KJ would study Steve Nash. He'd say, that's my hero, that's the best player ever. To flash forward to 2018, his parents flew up from Puerto Rico to watch their son try to lead his team towards a conference win and tournament bid. And his coach just told me, you can measure his body, but you cannot measure that heart.
And so because of KJ Mora, the man with the basketball, Trey Bell Haynes, the two-time reigning America East Conference Player of the Year, says Vermont has a no-spin rule today because KJ Mora will pick your pocket every time.
Well, Defensive Player of the Year, he's a pest. I mean, he's that guy, folks, that you play in the playground that just is always bothering you on defense.
UVM first shot taken by Peyton Henson off the mark, and here is Kevin Joel Mora.
And what he loves to do is get everyone involved early. He won't really take the ball to look to score, Doug, until his team needs it.
Jairus Lyle's first shot of the morning, a little bit short. Nice drive, nice feed, and the layup by Henson.
The bigs for Vermont are so skilled. You cannot turn your head on defense. They will beat you to the cut to the basket or the step back three. You have to know where they are. Again, Vermont's all about defense. That is what Coach John Becker prides himself in.
Mora off the bounce. Long rebound retrieved by the Retrievers, who get a fresh shot clock.
Oh, I see what you did there. Very well.
Nice.
Hey, 1 minute and a half into the game, Doug.
That rebound hit the scoreboard, the shot clock up above the basket, so it goes back over to UVM.
Well, two-time Player of the Year, Trey Bell Haynes gets into the paint all game long, and you can tell he's looking for the open player, and Peyton Henson knows all I have to do is cut, and the ball's going to be there.
Marcus, you know we've got the two best teams in this league and the two best players. Bell Haynes, the Player of the Year again this season, the man who finished second in that vote, Jairus Lyles for UMBC. Sherburne blocked it cleanly, and the possession arrow gives the ball back to the Retrievers.
And so far, the Catamounts have done an excellent job of locating Lyles and denying him the ball. I mean, if you take him and his 20 points, Doug, out of the game and force anyone else on the Retrievers' offense to score, it's a great strategy.
UMBC, since becoming a Division I program, has been to the NCAA tournament just once. That was 10 years ago. Nice pass from Sherburne inside for the layup by Akin.
And the 6'6" forward Joe Sherburne has to show up this morning. He's the key. He's going to have a tough time defending those two bigs for Vermont and has to perform on the offensive end. That was a great duck-in pass.
Trey Bell Haynes passed it out of bounds, and he has a stern conversation with Everett Duncan as to why he wasn't where Trey Bell Haynes thought he was going to be. Speaking of getting up early this morning, you doing all right? I appreciate you being here.
I appreciate the coffee delivered to my room. That was very nice. It helped a lot.
There goes Mora. Always with his head up. He is a pass-first point guard who can also score. What a running shot by Joe Sherburne.
And the coaching staff said the exact same thing I just did. Joe, we need you today. Be aggressive on offense, and he's got 2 great plays.
Well, in just 2 years as head coach of the Retrievers, Ryan Odom has done a marvelous job. That man, John Becker, in his 7 years as head coach at Vermont, also has done extremely well. But Coach Odom, for this UMBC program, to come in and do in 2 years what they have done after decades of futility is really remarkable.
I mean, you nailed it. 2 years prior, they won 4 games. The year after that, 7 games. And then Coach Odom shows up. They win 21. And the great story is they won the first game of the year last year, Doug, against, I think, Maryland Eastern Shore. And they go into the locker room, and the kids are celebrating like they just won the national championship. And the coaching staff says, hey, guys, pretend that you know what you're doing and you've won before. And they look at the coaching staff and say, we haven't. And now they walk into this building this morning expecting to win the AAC championship.
Quick first step. Arkel Lamar missed the shot.
This is good defense. The Catamounts are always sliding. They're always rotating on that man-to-man defense. You have to know where the next defensive slide is coming.
Henson trying to back his way into the paint to the left hand for 2.
And that's what he's added to his game this year, Doug. The inside low post game to complement that excellent three-point rhythm that he's demonstrated in the tournament.
Trying to go backdoor to Lyles. UMBC turns it over. And down on the ground is Everett Duncan. Actually, 2 Catamounts are down.
For the bucket, fouls on number 13, Joe Sherburne, his first personal, second team foul.
So that's Peyton Henson and Everett Duncan, who ran into each other.
A lot of times when you're rotating on defense, Doug, you're scrambling for the basketball. Great job getting your hands in the passing lane, and you're just trying to get it, and you hit knees or hit heads, and it looks like they banged each other for sure.
Well, that is Peyton Henson, who is sitting up now. 6'8" senior from Arkansas. Tulane transfer who was an all-conference player. Meanwhile, now getting to his feet, Everett Duncan, the redshirt sophomore from Evansville, Indiana.
When you take a look at it, and, yeah, just a head-to-head collision. Both guys playing at 110% effort and going for the loose ball, colliding.
And so Duncan, I see, has already headed toward the locker room, and that is also where Peyton Henson will go. And so UVM faces its first adversity. The good news is that the Catamounts are extremely deep. So coming off the bench, they have the 6th man of the year for the 2nd time, Cam Ward. He's a 6'2" guard. And last year's conference freshman of the year, Anthony Lamb, comes off the bench for the first time.
And Cam Ward is the backup point guard. So this is an interesting 3-guard look now for the Catamounts. And Anthony Lamb, I mean, he was just averaging all types of points. You did the Kentucky game, and he dominated down at Rupp Arena, and then he got hurt, sat out, and he's just trying to get back into the rhythm. So as you mentioned, Coach Becker has some guys to go to on that bench.
Anthony Lamb is kind of an X factor. I think both the guys who just came in for UVM can be X factors. Cam Ward as well, coming off a terrific semifinal. And as you mentioned, Lamb coming back from injury. He's only played 3 games since, and his minutes have been limited. He's physically okay, just still working some of the rust off and getting back in basketball playing shape.
Back from a fractured foot, but folks, you know, he scored 32 points against Northeastern and 27 against St. Bonaventure, so he was really in a great rhythm before he got injured.
Jarris Lyles has it poked away. He was the last to touch, and the Catamounts will have it when we come back to a sold-out Patrick Gym.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Principal, Investments, Retirement, Insurance, and Chick Extreme 4, now with 4 longer lasting blades.
The Vermont Catamounts with a 2-point lead early in the America East Championship game. With Mark Plansky, I'm Doug Sherman, and the Catamounts certainly have been the team to beat for the last few years in this league. 15-1 during the regular season. They have had so much success overall that only Gonzaga in the West Coast Conference is even within shouting distance of the numbers they put up.
Oh, it's unbelievable. They're going for their 100th win for this senior class. That's a pretty good 4 years, Doug Sherman.
Sure is. There's the tournament history. And we don't need to talk about that third line, which is something that has continued to buoy the folks up here in northern Vermont for the last 13 years. But the win over Syracuse.
Sorry, Mr. Cuse, but some guy named Taylor Coppenrath might have taken a little bit of your charm out of the big dance.
Well, speaking of Taylor Coppenrath, he is here in the building, as you see. He had a good professional career after graduating from Vermont, and he is currently a school teacher and a girls varsity basketball coach about 25 miles north of here, up by the Canadian border. But Coppenrath was a real program changer here at Vermont.
I believe he still has the record high for tournament championship game, 43 points in 2004. And then the following year, that big year in 2005, he averaged almost 35 points a game in this tournament. I mean, that guy could just flat out play.
So the girls up at Swanton High School in Swanton, Vermont, are the beneficiary of all the knowledge that he got as a player, now as a coach. And his coach back in those glory days for UVM when the program really blossomed. Of course, Tom Brennan, our former colleague at ESPN, is in the building, as he always is.
Coach TB, Tommy Brennan, he learned his magic from Coach Massimino at Villanova. You know that, the 2 years as an assistant coach under Daddy Mass, and then came here and built the program and has his name on the court right in front of us.
Good to see Peyton Henson back into the game for the Catamounts, while we don't see Everett Duncan yet while he continues to receive treatment. Joe Sherburne with the bucket. We go over to Olivia Moore on the injured Catamounts.
Yeah, guys, Peyton Henson and Everett Duncan were over here on the training table going through concussion protocol. Both are cleared. Obviously, Peyton's back in the game. He was the first one up. And guys, it's important that he's in here. Coaches told me he's so important to get in the paint for this team. And he was awesome against UMBC in January. He led the team with 16 points, 14 rebounds.
That's Ernie Duncan. He's the older brother of Everett Duncan, who is, as you see, back on the bench.
And Olivia's absolutely right. Peyton is the man that holds this perimeter game together. But Ernie Duncan is the absolute best three-point shooter on this Catamounts team.
He's an outstanding defender and all-conference player for John Becker's Catamounts. UMBC will turn you over. That's a big key for them here today. And they quickly turn it into the first 2 points for Jarvis Lyles.
That's Retrievers basketball right there, Doug. Get me the ball in transition, get it to the little man, KJ Mora, and if you can find Lyles on the break in rhythm, he's going to score more times than not.
Yeah, Lyles averages 19.9 points per game, second in the league behind only Jahad Thomas of UMass Lowell. Lamb around and out. Now, he missed his first shot. Yesterday, Coach Becker said to us that that would be a key for him finally breaking through. It would be important for him to hit a shot or two early.
Well, Doug, you know as a great scorer like yourself, when you knock down the first basket and you're coming back from injury, all of a sudden you have the confidence that you had 2 months ago before you went down.
4 quick points for Lyles, the fifth-year senior from Silver Spring, Maryland. Out of that marvelous high school program, DeMatha Catholic in D.C. Trey Bell Haynes, right to the bucket.
Well, you said it. Right to the bucket. Straight line drive and elevated.
All right, the history between these two programs in the last decade, not good for the Retrievers. They have lost 23 in a row head-to-head to Vermont. So, Mark Plansky, how can UMBC reverse that and win here today?
Not to create turnovers as they just did right there, Doug. You have to protect the basketball. We showed the points in the paint just like Lamb is dominating right here. That's okay because you're playing bigger, better skilled players, but you cannot give up possessions. You cannot throw the ball away. So turnovers is the key for UMBC.
There's no question UVM has more size and strength in the paint. We just saw that with Lamb's first 2 points. Lyles trying to heat up, can't get the roll. Lamb with a rebound, and here comes the Conference Player of the Year. Haynes has a nice setup that Cam Ward couldn't cash in on. Lamb was on the end line, back to UMBC.
Well, we featured Mr. Lyles for UMBC. Darius Lyles in transition and one-on-one is as good as it gets. Well, you can just see, you know he's going to drive, and he pulls up. But I'm more impressed with Anthony Lamb coming in earlier than expected because of the 2 injuries, and he just manhandled the Retrievers down low in the paint.
Yeah, Nolan Garrity no match that time down the floor. And it's also good to see that Everett Duncan has returned to the lineup for Vermont, so both he and Henson, as Olivia told us, went through the concussion protocol and cleared very quickly. KJ Mora, what a quick first step. Able to finish off the window.
Oh, that is just impressive. You know, as Olivia said, he's listed at 140 pounds. You can see the fathead in the stands weighs more than he does, folks. He's really close to the 130, Doug Sherman, and his ability with the basketball. I don't know how you cover guys. You have to get so low to try to stop him. Look at this little show, little go, and Duncan's a good defender. That's Everett Duncan. He's a really good defender, and you can see the look on his face. Oh, I got to get low to stop this little guy.
Mora led the league in assists per game while also being the Defensive Player of the Year in America East. That's a pretty good combination. Just over 8 minutes into this championship game, 15-12 Vermont with the basketball. Lamb going to work on the block again. Five-point Vermont lead. We will hear from Coach Odom of the Retrievers when we come back to Burlington. Vermont has opened up a 5-point lead at home against UMBC for a spot in the NCAA tournament. And the inside play of Anthony Lamb the last 2 times down the floor for Vermont have really paid dividends, Mark.
He's not settling for the outside shot. He's not the best shooter from behind the arc, Doug, but he uses his big body as well as anybody in the post. And you notice twice with the offhand. You know, the scouting report says loves to power up on the right side. 2 nice moves, using the chicken wing spin and finishing with the left hand.
And good for him not to settle for the jump shots. He can make 3-point shots, but much more effective in this sort of matchup down low.
And we were talking to Coach Becker at practice yesterday, and he wasn't expecting to play him a lot of minutes, because trying to fit all the pieces together, this team has won without him. So through no fault of his own, Lamb was trying to get back into the lineup. Now a freak accident and the banging of the heads gets some playing time. And wow, has he taken advantage of the opportunity.
Yeah, he played only 11 minutes in the conference semifinal. But now Anthony Lamb, the sophomore out of Greece Athena High School in Rochester, New York, at the line. We should let you know that Coach Ryan Odom declined our interview request. We respectfully accept that, and so we will move on here in the first half. UMBC, his Retrievers with the basketball, down by 6.
Good job closing out on Lyles. He has a target on his uniform. Find him.
Lyles has been a Retriever for only 2.5 years. And yet he is the 5th all-time leading scorer in program history.
Well, that's why he has a target on number 10, because he could do that, Doug. He loves Kyrie Irving, and with the basketball, he gets you rocked back on your heels, off balance, and can pull up from 25.
605 points for the year and counting. Lyles also on the verge of becoming the number 2 all-time scorer in program history in the Division I era. And again, he's a VCU transfer who went to Robert Morris for a semester, lost that semester. So again, he's only been playing for the Retrievers for 2.5 years. Foul on the rebound.
And the folks in Baltimore told us yesterday from Baltimore that Darius Lyles is this program's best player ever. And you can just take a look. Looks like a little Kyrie Irving, doesn't it? I mean, that's his favorite player in the NBA. He has modeled his game offensively after Kyrie, and that looked a lot like the great Boston Celtic.
And you see, against Arizona earlier this season, he dropped 31 on the Wildcats. He was matched up with Alonzo Trier in that game, and they went back and forth. Alonzo got his. Jarris got his, but after the game, Arizona head coach Sean Miller made a point of saying publicly that Jarris Lyles is a pro.
And similar against SMU, we put up 24 points. And great game against Kentucky, the game you did at Rupp Arena, where Coach Calipari saw shots like that and said, who is this kid and why did we schedule this team?
2 years ago, he dropped 37 at Maine, and you can see why Lyles is smiling. After a slow start, he's up to 9 points as the Retrievers back within 1.
And the full court defense is what UMBC needs to do to take the Vermont Catamounts out of their rhythm. They're a great half-court basketball team. Force the ball into somebody else's hands to create the offense.
The Duncan brothers in the corners for Vermont. Inside they go. Drew Urquhart goes over the left shoulder. Off the window for 2.
Very good low-post player. Again, can finish either side. 8 for 10 down at UMBC the first time these two teams met. Dominates the paint.
And you know, when Lamb went down with the foot injury, Urquhart really stepped into a much bigger role, and he has played terrific basketball the last month or so. Chance for 3 for Arkel Lamar.
And the senior Drew Urquhart, you know, he got the minutes you were talking about, Doug, and he's a patient offensive player. He didn't force anything right there. Very good use of the pivot foot. They called that the kickstand. Didn't rush, didn't have to, and can finish with both hands. That's why he's confident in the low post.
Well, paint points, a big part of this rivalry that has been so one-sided in Vermont's favor. Coach Becker told us yesterday that his stated goal every time down the floor with the basketball is to get a paint touch. We don't have to get to the basket, but we have to get into the paint.
Yeah, either by the dribble or the pass, and nobody does it better than the man with the ball right now, Traybell Haynes with the dribble, but they work on getting the ball to the paint and not looking to shoot, but find the open man.
This is Ernie Duncan to his brother Everett, inside to Urquhart. 6 to shoot. Everett doesn't recognize, finally puts it up. Nice job by the Retrievers. Lyles from way downtown. Traybell Haynes back the other way. Senior from Toronto, Ontario. Talk about the defense and more. Lyles gets after it pretty good too. They both average 2 steals per game.
And Lyles really prides himself on defending the best player for the team. How about that pass? I mean, that is knowing where your teammates are. Good little high ball screen on the wing, and without any impatience whatsoever, Bell Haynes drops the dime down low.
Urquhart 4 points.
I think last possession, Doug, Lyles took that shot way too fast in the shot clock. 3 seconds, and you have to let this team play defense. Wear them down a little bit.
Nonetheless, here he goes to work. If you're Ernie Duncan defensively there, what are you trying to do against Lyles?
Yeah, it's kind of like when I was asked to cover Michael Jordan. You just hope. You just hope you can stop him and keep him in front of you.
UVM up 3. Here in Burlington.
Behind the back. You know that feeling that you only get this time of year? Welcome back.
Champ Week's a lot of fun. 14 tickets will be punched today. America East is the first. We've got 9 of the 14 later this afternoon and tonight on the ESPN networks.
ACC, I mean, I thought Duke was going to come back and win last night, but Carolina, Virginia doesn't get any better than that. And you did the Big 12 games this year. I like West Virginia. Do not count out Bobby Huggins.
And then the biggest ticket to be punched tomorrow in the SEC. Who you got? Alabama, Kentucky, Arkansas, Tennessee.
Ricky Barnes in Tennessee has had a wonderful season. I like him in the lower game. And, boy, how about Colin Sexton? I'm taking Alabama. That guy can just play basketball and make buckets.
Hard to believe Selection Sunday is tomorrow, and we will know the field of 68 in, what, about 30 hours? One of these two teams will be in that field reveal, either Vermont or UMBC.
And, you know, folks, that's the most exciting time for these players. When you know you're going in like the winner of this game, it's great to see your name in lights. When you're not sure and you're sitting on the bubble and you're in, you know, some room on campus and people are looking for Vermont's name as an at-large or Kentucky's name as an at-large. When it shows up, it's elation. When it doesn't, it is the most crushing blow because that is what we're all playing for.
Let's go back to Olivia, who was eavesdropping on Coach Odom in the huddle.
That's right, guys. They're worried about Trey Bell-Haynes. They want to slide under him defensively, and they're stressed how 16 points in the paint Vermont's already scored. That was their emphasis coming in, like you talked about. And then offensively, he stressed every possession counts. Continue to move the ball and get everyone involved. And then also, have fun. You don't really hear that mid-game in a championship game, guys.
Well, Trey Bell-Haynes told me right before tip-off what they did as a team last night. I said, did you watch his Toronto Raptors and the Houston Rockets win streak? He said, no basketball last night, no Duke Carolina. They got together as a group on their own and watched a movie. They watched The Big Sick, and I guess Ernie Duncan is the movie guy. It was his choice, and Trey Bell-Haynes gave it 2 thumbs up.
Well, we featured the seniors on the open for both of these teams, but this crew for Vermont, they all live together. They're as close as brothers, and that does not surprise me.
Classic screen and roll. Akin able to finish.
Nice finish by Daniel Akin. He's only been playing basketball, folks, organized basketball for 3 years from England. He has an NBA-ready body. He's just learning the skill part of the game.
Here's how much the league coaches think about Daniel Akin. He averaged only 3.5 points per game this year, but he was a member voted in on the conference all-rookie team. Urquhart working on Akin with 5 to shoot. Little strong.
And that was just a great fundamental defensive job by Akin. He did not go for the fake. He moved his feet and got the rebound.
Darius Lyles, the step back. Lyles, nice job to hustle and keep up with the Conference Player of the Year, who finds his teammate Peyton Henson for 3 more.
He's in a great shooting rhythm in this tournament, and when he has his feet set and extends his hand on the follow-through, most times it's nothing but net.
Henson's 40% on the year from beyond the arc. Did he miss a shot in practice yesterday?
Did he miss the rim in practice?
Yeah.
It was nothing but net every single shot.
Jordan Grant misfires.
Coach Odom's walking down the bench saying, that's 2 long threes. That's not our game. We have to get to the paint. You can't settle for the 3-point shot against this team because then they're going to pound it down low. You can see, interestingly, no double team. They're letting Akin go one-on-one.
Well, just when Mora hedged down, they kick it back out to Trey Bell-Haynes, who buries it. Vermont on a roll, back in 30 seconds. Back at a sold-out Patrick Gymnasium. You see, welcome to Catamount country. The Catamount fans love what they see right now.
You mentioned earlier they have to get paint touches, and this great inside dribble, and then outside to Henson, feet set. And then the big man waits, and what are you doing, Mr. Mora? You can't lean down and leave the 2-time Conference Player of the Year open for a 3. They beat you so many ways. Just when you think they're going to beat you inside, Doug, they drop it back outside and knock down the 3.
Well, Mark, by winning his 2nd consecutive American East Conference Player of the Year award, he was an honorable mention All-American a year ago, probably will be again this year. Trey Bell-Haynes has put himself in the stratosphere of all-time players in the history of this conference. And you know, Champ Week rolls on. Tonight at 6 p.m., it's the Phillips 66 Big 12 Championship game between West Virginia and Kansas. Then at 8:30 Eastern, North Carolina takes on Virginia in the New York Life ACC Championship game from Brooklyn. Both games are on ESPN and the ESPN app.
Let me ask you, Doug. I did the Big 12 last year. You did it this year. Who's a better guard? Javon Carter for West Virginia or Devontae Graham for Kansas, who is the Big 12 Player of the Year, by the way?
If I was picking sides on the playground, I'd take Javon Carter.
Without question. I mean, he's the 2-time Defensive Player of the Year, and this year he's really putting out on the offensive side, too. That's going to be a phenomenal game.
And that's why I would pick him, because I'm such a bad defender. I'd want him to cover for me.
You're not a bad defender. You don't play defense. So by definition, you can't be good or bad.
Final 5 minutes of the first half. Trey Bell-Haynes, and that's an offensive foul. Well, that's why KJ Mora was the Defensive Player of the Year. He comes up holding his chest and his right shoulder a little bit. How does a guy who's only 133 pounds take hits like that and survive a season?
Oh, that's a great question, because that's what the opposition wants to do, but he's given the body right up. Look at that, folks. When you're defending transition and you're playing a great guard, as he is tonight, move your feet and keep him in front of you, and it's just an outstanding job planting his feet and taking the charge.
Lyles off the slip screen. That's the easiest two Max Curran will find today.
You know, we went to break and we thought maybe this is when the Catamounts were going to make their traditional run, which is always defense first, led by some threes, which we saw before the timeout. And credit UMBC for getting to the rim and taking their time. Great screen and roll.
Trey Bell Haynes has his pass taken away. Here comes Mora. Crowd thought he traveled. Lyles dumps it off. Curran lays it in.
Max Curran is a guy that came off the bench. He's slender, but they really like his skill. And 2 possessions in a row, he's been in the right place, right time, and converts.
And Mark, that last steal for UMBC is a new single-season record. Big answer at the other end by Ernie Duncan.
You know, inside-out basketball. The best teams in the tournament the next 3 weeks will have inside-out basketball. Paint touches and good three-point shooting is so hard to defend. Little flex by UMBC, getting Vermont moving on defense.
Good ball movement, finds Sherburne. One extra pass to find the open man in the corner, and Arkel Lamar buries it.
That was just an outstanding possession. Inside out with the dribble, cross-court pass, and then the extra pass to the corner three. That's as good as it gets.
Lamb with a big size advantage on Curran draws the foul along the baseline.
Well, you just look at great interior passing. That's a skill that so many teams work on in the summertime. And then out for the three, Ernie Duncan. And on the other side, UMBC, the dribble drive and the extra pass, Doug Sherman. But a wide open three. Come on back, folks. We got a lot more.
Thank you, Chris. With Mark Plansky and Olivia Harlan, I'm Doug Sherman here in Burlington, Vermont. Late in the first half, Trey Bell Haynes and the Vermont Catamounts with the lead. First time in 6 years this league has had the 1 versus the 2 in its championship game. And with the format for its postseason playoffs, as they call it, the higher seeded team hosts every single game, and in years past they've had a big break between the semis to the championship game where they've had a week off, but this year they played the semis on Tuesday and now the title game, and it's a much quicker turnaround and better for the players to be playing on Saturday.
Oh, without question, it's a better rhythm. When you have a full week off, both the coaches and the players, you never have a week off in college basketball during the season. You have no idea what to do. I mean, I would have plenty of ideas what to do if I had a full week off, Doug. I know. Well, sure. Up in Syracuse, I'd go skiing, maybe, enjoy the outdoors. But, at Villanova, we go to the library and get some extra homework done. That's what we would do with a week off.
You only went to the library to use it as a warm hallway to get from the cafeteria back to your dorm.
I was majoring in osmosis. I thought if I sat next to smart guys like you, I could be all academic.
Or you mean peek over onto my sheet and steal an answer. Well, we should mention that this building, Patrick Gymnasium, is one of the hottest venues, tightest venues in the country. And so they sell out. And we have a sellout crowd here today. But it's been here since the 50s, 1950s. And my partner, Mark Plansky, at Villanova, you played here as a freshman and you played here as a senior. And I understand you did pretty well.
The team did very well, Doug. It's all about winning as a team, not Syracuse's individual awards. Villanova is winning national championships.
Well, that's not the way the story went yesterday about 6 times during practices. I played here as a freshman, went 4 for 4 from beyond the arc.
Yeah, it was my first game ever in college. And, this is a really, really good gym, but it's not the best gym as far as the biggest gym, but it's a really great environment. My next game, I played at the Spectrum and 15,000 people, and Coach Massimino said, sit down. This isn't for you.
Well, that year you guys grew into national champions back in '85.
his first personal for team.
You know, we did it exactly the way Vermont is winning this year. Defense first. I mean, Coach Becker, his recruiting model, he told us yesterday, Doug, is I'm going to find offensive skilled players and then really hope they listen to me about how to play defense. And if they do, we're going to be a very successful team.
John Becker is a 49-year-old native of Fairfield, Connecticut, who is going to be a hot commodity in coaching vacancies coming up, especially if UVM's able to get to the tournament and make some noise. Mora, nothing but net.
Just elite confidence. And don't let that little man get into a roll, because he then comes back and has more fun playing on defense. That's what he told us, than on offense.
Well, again, he shoots it at better than 40% from beyond the arc. He's the best defensive player in the league. And he realized he could play at the Division I level back in his high school days at Arlington Country Day High School in Jacksonville, Florida. And at that point, he had come from Puerto Rico with 3 on the shot clock. And he realized, I'm playing against some of the best players in the country. I can do this.
And his defensive skills are contagious. And his offensive skills are impressive with a behind-the-back dive to Jarvis Lyles. Woo! That's as good as it gets.
Lyles with the triple draws the Retrievers back to within 1. If you want to win in March, you rely on senior guards more often than not. The Retrievers have 2 of them stepping up.
And they rely on each other. Look at that extra pass by Joe Sherburne, and without any hesitation, KJ Moore knocks it down. And they're great behind the left-handed behind the back pass, and that's having fun. That's what Olivia overheard about 5 minutes ago. Hey guys, forget about it. We go out and have fun. If we win, great. If we don't worry about it. And that's having fun. And then it comes down to defense. Look at the intensity on the guys in the gray uniforms. They are fired up on the defensive end.
7 on the timer. Trey Bell-Haynes trying to work on Jarvis Lyles. He did not beat the buzzer. Wave off the 3. The shot from Drew Urquhart was just a little late.
How about the pass by Bell-Haynes? I mean, getting to the paint, as we have mentioned, for Coach Becker is the #1 point in his offensive possession scheme. He had his triple team and threw it out behind the back.
Shot clock, game clock, just about identical. So UMBC, if it chooses, can hold for a final shot.
And I would, right? You're down 1. You get a chance to shoot with 6 or 7 seconds left. Give yourself an offensive rebounding opportunity, although UVM has done a good job on the defensive glass. But maybe you get 2 shots. Get a chance to score, go up, and get into the locker room.
Lyles fouled by Ernie Duncan.
That's a good foul. That's only the 5th team foul. So whether it was intentional or not, now you've got just under 6 seconds to get the ball in and attack immediately.
And if you're Vermont, expect them to do it again. Why not?
Why not? Absolutely. Wait a couple of seconds and then burn one.
Instead, Lyles rises up and gives the Retrievers the lead. UMBC has not beaten Vermont in a decade. But at practice yesterday, we heard time and time again, you just have to beat them once. And they head to the locker room up by 2.
The 2 words that describe the Retrievers, Doug: unselfish and confident. And they are flying into that locker room with a 2-point lead.
Jarvis Lyles with 15 points to lead all scorers. Let's go down to Olivia with Vermont's Trey Bell-Haynes.
Thank you, Doug. That's right. Jarvis Lyles already with 15. Trey, how can you better contain him in the second half?
We just got to keep making him work, and I think too much the one-on-one defenders left on island, so we got to shrink the court and make him see a lot of defenders so he passes the ball.
You led by as many as 9, now down 2. How can you guys regroup?
Just got to play defense. It's a game of runs. We're not worried about it. They got hot. A couple minutes left in the half. We're going to come out the second half even hotter.
Thanks, Trey.
Thank you.
into the locker room to try and figure out what they're going to do in the final 20 minutes. Our halftime score, 37-35. Now let's send it back to the studio with Chris, and Tom. You're watching Champ Week presented by Principal. Here in Burlington, Vermont, the championship game of the America East Conference. Vermont led by 9 late in the first half, but UMBC closed that half on a 16-5 run. Welcome back, everybody. Doug Sherman along with Mark Plansky, and as expected, the seniors have been getting it done for both teams.
A lot of good seniors, a lot of great action in the first half.
It's time for Going Gold, brought to you by Axe.
Inside out Trey for Trey Bell Haynes. That's where Vermont was really doing a good job in the first half. And there's Peyton Henson getting in the paint with a nice lefty jump hook. But UMBC, credit the guards. KJ Moore with the sling, knocks down the 3. And how do you stop Jairus Lyles? 15 points in the first half, 3 for 4 from deep.
And watch, after Lyles hit that 3, he leads the team to the wrong locker room. His fellow senior guard said, no, wait a second, fella. Come on, we got to go the other side. Senior leadership.
Yeah, that's Moore leading his team. Hey, guys, this away. Let's not go that away.
All 4 have produced so far. Let's go over to Olivia, who a moment ago spoke to Coach Odom.
Thank you, Coach. You told me you're not the underdogs anymore. Now you're up 2 on the #1 team. What led to that push at the end of the half?
Yeah, I mean, certainly Jairus made a lot of shots, some tough ones down the stretch. You know, the last one there, they guarded it really well. He just made a better shot. You know, I think our stops to score were huge. Our guys down the stretch, you know, got a couple of stops inside. We were able to get out in transition.
And then offensively, great ball movement, and more importantly, you're taking care of the ball, very few turnovers. How important is that in the second half?
Yeah, that's huge. I mean, they're so good. They contest every shot pretty much. They're hard to get inside of their defense. So we just encourage the guys to screen a little more and try to keep trying to get in there and play for their teammates.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, thanks.
Jairus Lyles misfires. He leads all scorers with 15 points for UMBC. And Coach Odom certainly has been around college basketball and winning basketball his entire life. He grew up as a kid in Charlottesville, Virginia, while his father, Dave Odom, was an assistant coach for those great Terry Holland, Virginia teams. He grew up watching Ralph Sampson doing his thing.
You know, in the interview of Dave Odom 20 years ago, sounded a lot like his son Ryan. How do you win games? You make shots, you get stops, and you pray for a few calls.
Of course, his dad was the head coach at East Carolina, Wake Forest, and South Carolina, 3-time ACC Conference Coach of the Year. Ryan is a 43-year-old who, as you do when you're a coach's kid, you bounce around. And so, son played his high school ball in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. How about dad coaching Tim Duncan and Randolph Childress to some great heights with the Demon Deacons?
The assistant coach for Terry Holland in Virginia with Ralph Sampson and those great teams. You think Ryan learned a few things dancing around those sidelines as a young man? I mean, those were some outstanding ACC basketball games.
And then Ryan got his first Division I head coaching opportunity last year at UMBC, and how quickly he has turned this program into a contender in the America East, and now potentially within an hour of going to the NCAA tournament. Trey Bell Haynes fouled on the drive. Well, Vermont did a good job of getting to the free throw line in that first half, Mark. UMBC only shot 1 free throw in the first 20 minutes.
Both teams are doing an excellent job of getting to the paint, as you just saw Trey Bell Haynes, that possession. But UMBC in the first half, Doug, when they got to the paint, they did not force it. They did not try to create the contact and finish. They dished it back out for the 3.
Well, let's get to know the America East Conference 2-time Player of the Year a little bit more. Trey Bell Haynes. Well, he's from Toronto, so you would have thought maybe DeMar DeRozan would have been his favorite player, but he goes D-Rose. How about the fact that his hidden talent is that he's a good typist?
Yeah, well, in the world of social media typing for the new generation, that is shocking. How about teleportation? That's exactly the superpower I would do second to flying, because I have no idea. You saw me play. I have no idea what flying is.
Well, if he said his hidden talent was cursive handwriting, for a millennial, then I'd say that was a big deal.
Yeah, but typing, he meant not just using his thumbs typing. That's what he meant.
Foul on the low block. Akin on the switch had a big size advantage, and so Trey Bell-Haynes whistled for the personal.
You know, and quietly, Joe Sherburne, who made that entry pass, recognized the mismatch as having a really good basketball game, contributing on both ends of the court.
And, you know, Trey Bell-Haynes very nearly blew his opportunity because of his temper of getting a chance to play at Vermont as Lyles connects. When Trey Bell-Haynes was growing up in Ontario, he had virtually no recruitment from American Division I colleges. As he gets double teamed, splits it, goes right to the bucket, and gets the finger roll. So his high school and summer coach set up a game just so Trey Bell-Haynes could play in front of Vermont head coach John Becker, who had heard about it. Big denial by Drew Urquhart. But in that game, Trey Bell-Haynes actually lost his cool and got ejected. And he thought, well, geez, I just blew my one opportunity with Coach Becker in the stands. He's never going to offer me a scholarship now. End of the story. Becker did offer the scholarship. Trey Bell-Haynes accepted, and it's been a marriage made in heaven.
And how about the speed? I mean, KJ Moore is as fast as there is in college basketball. And Trey Bell-Haynes just not only kept up with him, penetrated, crossed over, and finished. And then how about his interview at the end of the half? How cool, calm, and collective was this senior point guard? I mean, how do you stop Mr. Lyles? Well, we don't let our guys play defense on an island. That's a coach's response. How do you stop the 9-point run? Well, it's a game of runs. We're not really excited. That's a coach's response. That's who he is on the court. What an advantage for Coach Becker to have him out there leading his team.
He is mature beyond his years. He took 3 city buses, took an hour and a half each way just to get to his high school growing up in Toronto. Out of bounds, back to the Retrievers.
When KJ Moore, and you can't see when a 5'8" on his best day is pushing 6'8" Drew Urquhart on the offensive rebound. No one saw it. He just moved them underneath the basket and caused the turnover. Great job by the little man.
Trey Bell-Haynes told us before tip-off, playing against a guy who's the size of Mora is a real problem because he gets up and under you.
And that's why Moore is a defensive player of the year in this conference, because he can stay up straight vertical and play defense.
Free throws upcoming for Drew Urquhart. Well, NBA scouts have been around the Vermont campus and around Vermont games this year. They know who Trey Bell-Haynes is. Nobody's saying he's going to get drafted. Nobody's saying he's even going to get into a training camp, but he should get to the Portsmouth Invitational and likely will play in the NBA Summer League. And if you can get yourself there, well, who knows?
Physically, he can get bigger and stronger. Everyone does from age 22 to 28. What he has, as we just mentioned, as intangibles, one GM out there may very well say, I need that kid. And that's what he's hoping for.
All it takes is one GM to like you, right, Mark?
Well, I didn't find one, so I guess maybe that
you spent time in Miami. You were with the Heat for a while.
Well, they didn't like me. I mean, they accepted me for a few weeks.
Sounds like you have issues.
Oh, okay. Here we go.
Garrity camped out in the lane. No 3-second call. Lamar catch and shoot. That's a tough shot and a nice job to close out by Everett Duncan.
Great closeout by Duncan.
Well, the no spin rule was just violated by Trey Bell-Haynes, but he got away with it.
I don't think he had more on him. Was more on him? Because I think he felt like this is the one time and only time he could do it.
And at the other end, Lamar is called for the foul on the 3-point try by Everett Duncan.
Right in front of us, Lamar is saying he didn't touch him, but Everett Duncan, his younger brother, has learned from Ernie Duncan. The whole Duncan family, I mean, they're from Indiana. They've watched Reggie Miller. The whole family watched the great pacer in New York, Nick. Stick your leg out. If you feel like it and you know that you're such a good shooter, Doug, it's going to be off, stick that leg out and try to get the foul.
Coming up on Selection Sunday at 7 p.m., it's Bracketology with Reese, Jay Will, Jay Bill, Seth, Dickie V, and a host of our college hoops experts. They'll have complete breakdowns of each region. SportsCenter starts us off 5 Eastern on ESPN with the reveal of the NCAA men's field of 68 as the teams are announced tomorrow night. Both are also streaming live on the ESPN app. Out goes Jairus Lyles, our leading scorer today with 15 points. Everett Duncan getting it done at the free throw line. And you alluded to the Duncan family as we have a timeout called, which is our timeout. So we'll step away, come back with much more here at Patrick Gymnasium in Burlington.
The Blackbirds are champions of the Northeast Conference.
The Raiders are going dancing.
The Jackrabbits are going to the NCAA tournament. Another championship in the West Coast Conference.
Champ Week has not disappointed so far. We have had buzzer beaters, nets cut down, excuse me. And we've got the Big 12 and ACC championships coming up tonight, SEC tomorrow. This is the first of 14 tickets to be punched today as we sit here at a sold-out Patrick Gymnasium. Jairus Lyles catching his breath, and should we read more into that as we watch him on the bench, Mark?
As well as he's playing this afternoon, he is indeed working for everything on the offensive side, but he's really tiring on the defensive side, trying to get out and cover the Duncan brothers and Trey Bell-Haynes.
Well, UMBC needs him on the floor and productive if it's going to win its second ever America East tournament championship.
But it's also a great time to sit him down, right? We have another TV timeout coming, so he's going to get like a 5-minute real-time rest. Good job by Coach Odom recognizing the clock.
Mora gets whistled for the foul, trying to contain Trey Bell-Haynes. Back after this. The Catamounts have opened the second half on a 9-2 run to reclaim the lead in the America East Championship. And Vermont has a new multi-purpose facility project geared towards their basketball and hockey programs, including a new event center and expanded health and wellness and recreation space for the student body. The budget, $85 million. It's going to help all sorts of folks on the UVM campus, including incoming athletes. For instance, Rosie Seisler. Big congratulations to Rosie. She's a high school class of 2019 who has committed to play field hockey for Kate Pfeiffer in the Catamounts. We should mention that Rosie's dad, David, is the coordinating producer of college basketball at ESPN. So Rosie's just one of the countless athletes and people on this beautiful campus who will benefit from the upcoming multi-purpose facility project that is scheduled to open in the fall of 2020.
And every part of this athletic department pulls for each other. I met Coach Kate Pfeiffer yesterday. She walked me around, gave me a nice little tour, told me how proud she was of her team and how great she loves her girls and how excited she is to have Rosie join her squad next year.
Catamounts were trailing at halftime, leading now with the basketball in their gold uniforms. UMBC up from Catonsville, Maryland, just outside of Baltimore, trying to stop Trey Bell-Haynes, but they cannot.
Well, this run early in the second half, you mentioned it, now 11-2, has been Vermont penetrating and getting to the paint and recognizing that Trey Bell-Haynes has a big advantage physically and can sneak in between that trap against KJ Mora and get up and in for the conventional three-point play.
Substitution UMBC. Arkel Lamar, the sophomore from Bridgeport, Connecticut, comes back in, replacing KJ Mora.
And you can see Coach Becker, Doug, pointing to his head, think. That is clearly a point of attack. When KJ Mora is in the game, attack him, make him defend, take advantage of all 140 pounds. And it's working so far early in the second half.
And so with Mora on the bench, Lyles takes over at the point. He is a true scoring point guard.
That's such a good skill. Joe Sherburne just tapping that offensive rebound out. We've seen a lot of all the good players.
It's a foul called against Urquhart. And what say you, Mark Plansky?
I will say it's not popular, Doug. What do you think about that? But well, this is part of the concept of verticality. If Drew Urquhart goes straight up and doesn't bring his arm down, which he did, then it would not have been a foul. He brought his arm down. Excellent call by the referee.
But it's against human nature when you're leaping like that to be able to keep your arms straight up.
It's really the second year that the coaching staffs across the country have emphasized it in the offseason. And for the athletic big man, it's hard to not try to block the shot when a little guy comes in. But you have to just wall up and keep your arms straight up. That was the right call.
The Duncan brothers on the floor with Trey Bell-Haynes, Urquhart, and Henson.
So now Jordan Grant's matched up with Trey Bell-Haynes. Better man-for-man athletically, and Trey Bell-Haynes knows that it's time to share the basketball.
Ernie Duncan in trouble, gets it blocked by Garrity.
A really good defensive possession by Coach Odom's Retrievers.
Grant, tough pass to handle. Lamar gets it, but another block shot. Inside by Drew Urquhart.
Well, Arkel Lamar is going to learn when the big guy has blocked 2 shots. Show the ball, folks. A little ball fake. Show the leather. He's going to jump up and then just reposition yourself, Doug. Draw the contact or make the layup. But that's what happens when you're not used to playing such a big game. You get sped up out of your normal procedures.
Urquhart, second team all-conference out of Eastside Catholic School in Sammamish, Washington, although he is a Canadian out of Vancouver. And just like that, Jairus Lyles quiets the crowd here in Burlington.
And Coach Becker's got his hands up like, folks, how can you not contest this kid? Have you not been watching the same game I have? Get up and force him to put the ball on the ground and rotate and help.
He was a 3-star recruit out of DeMatha High School who picked VCU originally over Oklahoma State. He's winding down what's been a marvelous career after transferring to UMBC. Grant whistled for the hold. Well, defensively, you do not want to go under the screen on Jairus Lyles.
Well, Trey Bell-Haynes knows he's just not close on him. He just little jab step. A good job by Lyles, but that's just bad defense. You've got to just get up, not go under the screen. Get up. There's no screen. You've got to force him where you need him to go. Don't let him tell you what he wants to do.
Anthony Lamb has come back for Vermont, number 3 in gold. He sets the screen. No double team yet. Spin to the baseline. That was halfway down.
The first time we've seen Lamb in the game since he really dominated the paint early in the first half.
Lyles, no. Rebound, Bell-Haynes.
Everyone was shocked it didn't go in.
Cam Ward into the game for Vermont. And a blocking foul called against Nolan Garrity.
You know, much better ball movement inside out and get the ball to the other side of the court. Doug, we talked about it at halftime. Vermont got susceptible to that run at the end of the half by UMBC because they stayed on one side of the court. When you move that ball inside out and especially across to the weak side, you make the defense play and then you get guys covering the guys they're not supposed to be matched up on, and that's how the foul occurs.
There's a good look at Peyton Henson, a 6'8" senior from Arkansas. Played a couple of years with the Tulane Green Wave. He's a good free throw shooter. In fact, has made now 28 of his last 29, better than 80% on the year.
Well, the team shoots 75% as a team, which is tops in the country. They have 4 guys on this team shooting 80% or better, and that is a recipe for March Madness victory.
Yeah, if this game does wind up coming down to free throws, as you and I were talking, Mark, between timeouts, the edge would certainly go to Vermont. UMBC is not a good foul shooting team at only 65%, but the reality is they've got 2 guys, Moore and Lyles, who go to the line the most, who are great, and the rest of the team is not good at all.
Yeah, if UMBC can keep this game close, look for Coach Becker to maybe foul the front line of the Retrievers and make them win it at the foul line.
Lyles left it short, and just off the bench, Nate Rohr, the 5th-year senior from Underhill, Vermont, with a big rebound. Look at that pressure by Lyles. UVM able to keep. Now out of bounds off of Lamb, and the Retrievers get their turnover.
And that's how you keep a very good half-court offensive team out of their rhythm. Really pressure the ball the moment it comes over half-court and disrupts the whole offensive set. It takes 10 seconds off of Coach Becker's team, and then you're scrambling, ends up with a turnover.
This is Jordan Grant, who has played more games than any other Retriever in program history. He has accepted a lesser role the last couple of years to get better players into the program, like that man, Lyles, fouled. It goes against Ernie Duncan. Timeout. Olivia will talk with UVM head coach John Becker when we come back. The Catamounts have their lead back to 6. Moments ago, Olivia chatted with Vermont coach John Becker.
Thank you. Coach, defensively in this half, how have you been able to get more pressure on Jairus Lyles?
Yeah, it's just that. We've got more pressure on him, which has gotten him inside the three-point line. Hopefully start to wear him down a little bit as the game goes on.
And their next leading scorer only with 6. What kind of strategy are you using in the second half?
Yeah, we're just doing a good job on everyone else. We got to do a better job on Lyles. Morris got foul trouble now, so got to get him under control, continue to have pressure on him. We got loose for that 3 there. We got to do a better job.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
And there's some of the numbers. Lyles 20, rest of his teammates 23. And we've talked about the fact that John Becker has really been remarkable as head coach at UVM since succeeding his Catholic University teammate Mike Lonergan back in 2011. Before that, Becker was an assistant for 5 years, first under Tom Brennan and then under Mike Lonergan. And it's been quite a run here in Burlington for UVM hoops. Couldn't stop the triple by Grant.
Well, you said it, partner. Quite a run. Coach Becker was in a very similar game when they opened up the new arena down at UMBC in early February. The score was 46-40. They won going away by 20. But that's because Vermont made shots and Lyles and UMBC did not. So when Jordan Grant comes out and knocks down that 3, then we have a different story here, folks. Now you've got another guard playing confidently with more on the bench.
Jordan Grant is described by his coach as a Swiss Army knife as he grabs the rebound. And again, he is the guy who's been around since UMBC was not good and nowhere near playing for an NCAA tournament bid, which they are here this afternoon. The winner gets the America East Championship and a spot in the field of 68.
Really focusing on getting the ball to Lamb down low.
Now, how much of that for Max Curran was him being in the right spot? How much might have been acting, and how much might have been the fact that he's probably 40 pounds lighter than the other guy?
Yeah, it's 205 pounds. Come on. I give that 80% acting and 20%, what do I do covering a truck like Mr. Lamb? That's what I give that. But hey, regardless, draws the foul and stems the tide here. Gets everyone back down, Doug. They were all ready to stand up. They knew a basket was coming.
And that counts as another forced turnover for this UMBC defense. Grant being more proactive. Traybell Haynes, nifty look. Little no look to find Everett Duncan.
In transition, two of the best guards in the conference. Traybell Haynes has vision and speed. You just saw it both on display.
Here goes Jairus Lyles. Again, left it well short.
Part of the wear down strategy we heard from Coach Becker with his interview with Olivia. He pulled the string. The legs might be getting a little tired because he's going to come down and defend Ernie Duncan on this side.
Ernie drives and dishes. 15 on the shot clock. Back out to Everett Duncan. Well, next year, their younger brother, Robin Duncan, will be part of this Vermont roster. He's a 6'5" senior point guard back in Evansville, Indiana. They are watching this game. The Duncan family couldn't get here to Burlington, but a big shot by the middle son. Here come the Cats one more time. Trey, Bell, Haynes, denied, but fouled.
Well, the crowd is certainly back in it. When you have a 6-man like the Catamounts fans, you get in rhythm as a shooter. Mr. Duncan Everett was way deep, and look at the excitement. There's nothing better than inside-out basketball, and the senior Peyton Duncan says, hey, here you go, my man. Knock it down.
Everett Duncan, a redshirt sophomore out of Harrison High School in Evansville, same high school that produced, among others, Calbert Cheney, Walter McCarty. Well, the SEC tournament bracket is very interesting. Alabama, a 9 seed, as dangerous as any team in the field. They'll take on Kentucky at 1 o'clock Eastern on ESPN. And then the second semifinal, the Razorbacks against the Volunteers, scheduled for a 3 p.m. tip. Both games on ESPN and the ESPN app. And a lot of folks said going into this year's SEC tournament that truly there were 9 teams that could win it, and that has proven itself out through the quarterfinal round.
Yeah, it's been so deep. Auburn's done a wonderful job with Bruce Pearl getting the co-championship in the regular season. I like KJ Moore back in the game. That's enough. You know, the run was coming. 9 minutes left to go with 4 fouls. Coach Odom willing to take that risk and take the bet that even though you know UVM is going to pressure him and try to draw that 5th foul, you need the electric point guard in the game.
That was just the 6th team foul here in the second half against UVM. UMBC has been called for 8.
This is the possession of the game right here. They need a good possession, knock down a shot, come back and stop this run.
5 to shoot. Lyles fouled in the act of shooting, and so he will head to the foul line, shooting 3. Well, Jairus Lyles is a young man who had a lot of options after last year. He got his psych degree in May and could have been a graduate transfer pretty much anywhere in the country. He was pursued by several high majors, but a friendship that he developed with the UMBC president, Dr. Freeman Rabowski, really changed any thought of him leaving the campus. And the Baltimore Sun did a marvelous article a few weeks ago on the friendship that has come between those two gentlemen, and Lyles made a decision that wasn't just going to be for the next 7 months, but for the rest of his life.
Well, he's every bit as good as any, big-time offensive scoring guard in the country. But you know what? If I'm him, why not be the big fish in a medium pond down in Baltimore and then play some professional basketball and then go back and call your buddy, your best friend, the president, and get a job for life? It was a great decision, and he stayed because of his teammates and the coaching staff. That was really the glue that kept him coming back, and look at the year he has had.
And Lyles still has a legitimate shot to get a good look at playing in the NBA. Let's not sell him short as he picks up the foul. It's a chance for 3 for Ernie Duncan.
Well, speaking of not selling short, Ernie Duncan has repetitively tried to get to the paint and get to the rim today. He's a great standstill shooter. He just says, I'm coming at you, and finishes over Lyles, who aggressively went up to try to block that shot. That is a huge shot and possible 3-point play, especially after the 3 foul shots that Lyles made down at this end.
Ernie Duncan originally committed to his hometown school, the Evansville Purple Aces, but I tell you, Coach Becker and his staff certainly happy that he flipped and has his brothers following. Once again, a 9-point ball game, matching the largest of the game. Quick timeout by UMBC after the bucket from Sherburne. Will step away with 8:05 remaining. UVM, UMBC for a spot in the big dance.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Principal, Investments, Retirement, Insurance, and Stouffer's Fit Kitchen Bowls. This is Fit.
Well, Champ Week, presented by Principal, is all about emotion, and we have seen plenty of that so far here today at Patrick Gymnasium in a game that tipped shortly after 11 a.m. Coach John Becker of the Catamounts, Coach Ryan Odom and his Retrievers putting it all on the line to try to be the team to cut down the nets in just a matter of minutes. And this gives us an opportunity to share with you who the emotional leader of this Vermont team is. His name is Josh Spidell. He's a 6'7" redshirt freshman from Columbus, Indiana, who Coach Becker says is the best player I ever recruited. However, back on February 1st, 2015, Josh was involved in a car accident that left him in a coma for a month. He had to relearn how to walk and talk. And nonetheless, Vermont, the athletics department, and the university fully supported Josh's scholarship to its coveted recruit. And so here we are 3 years later. Well, Josh actually joked to Coach Becker when he got here, you know, it'd be okay if you felt like redshirting me. I mean, Josh is just a big part of the team. His coach calls him a miracle, and he has been truly the heart and soul of this UVM team the last couple of years.
Columbus, Indiana. He played for Columbus North, and I have some really good friends, the Kreider family, that live in Columbus. And to your point, Doug, they said that Josh was just uncomparable. He was the best thing they had seen in years coming out of that high school.
And there is Josh, whose mom Lisa is back home in Indiana. She is an administrator in elementary education, and she couldn't make the trip, but her husband David is here. And I had a chance before the season opener at Rupp Arena down in Kentucky to talk to both of them and to Josh as well, and to share that story with the national audience. Mom and Dad get emotional every time they talk about it. They count their blessings that their son survived the accident and has such a bright future going forward.
And how about the dad? Dave told us yesterday at practice all the excitement he had traveling, as everybody in New England or the Northeast has found out the last week through the snowstorms one after another. And there was no way Dad was not going to be here. And he was apologizing for his wife, for Josh's mom not being here. Very understandably staying back home as the principal.
Well, he received, son did, a standing ovation in Burlington here last year as a redshirt. Received a standing ovation in West Lafayette at Purdue. It's a story that can't be told often enough.
You know, meanwhile, the three guards for UMBC have turned up the heat collectively. While we were praising Josh, what the big man really needed to do was watch the little guys for UMBC get together, get the turnovers, and come down and convert, and then go full court press when no one was looking, causing the timeout. That was excellent defense for those two possessions by UMBC.
9-point deficit cut to 4. You know, Vermont has lost one game since mid-December. That was here in this building back on February 18th against conference rival Hartford, 69-68. And in that game, they led by 8 in the second half. And for the only time in the last 2 years, UVM let a lead like that slip away. They have been playing from in front so far here today, but UMBC very much hanging around.
And Doug, it's so different. Regular season versus today. Are you kidding me? 4-point game with 7 minutes, 6 seconds left. And we're talking about the senior trio for UMBC. They're not nervous. They're out there having fun. KJ Moore has got 4 fouls. He just stripped the ball down defensive end. So this is a whole different environment for both teams. And that's going to be why this last 7 minutes is going to play out.
Over the last decade, Vermont's been the big brother. UMBC's been the little brother, having won 23 straight since 2008 in this rivalry.
I think you have to go after KJ Moore, get him out of the game, because he's got back into the game. Great job by Coach Odom 3 minutes ago saying, get in the game, I need you.
Defensive lapse, Ocken with the lay-in.
Well, it's because everyone was looking for Lyles and Moore, because that's who you're supposed to stop. But yeah, Atkins just said, I'm wide open. Nice job. Keep the pace up. Try to keep the ball out of Trey Bell-Haynes' hands, which Jordan Grant just did an excellent job, and make somebody else beat you.
Everett Duncan lost it. UMBC on a 7-0 run with a chance to tie or retake the lead. And again, a wide open retriever. And the ball comes to Trey Bell-Haynes.
Boy, Grant just thought he knocked that one down. He can't believe he missed that open 3.
Boy, Vermont caught a huge break there. Haynes back to Henson. puts it on the deck, loses his defender, and draws the foul.
Well, Mora got back in the game about 4 minutes ago, and he has been the catalyst for this run. You see, look at his eyes up, Doug. Great pass up for Grant. Grant's eyes are up, and he finds his man wide open underneath. And the next possession, very similar, found Grant on the baseline wide open. And there's Coach Odom saying, you're going to make the next one. Don't worry about it. Keep shooting.
And again, those are the seniors. That's Coach Odom with his fourth-year senior, Jordan Grant, who just made the nice pass. And on the other end, this very accomplished senior class for Vermont, Peyton Henson among them, trying to win a 100th game in their college career here today.
And it's all about now the last 5.5 minutes, Doug. Vermont has to take advantage of the paint, both down here defensively, rebound, and at the other end, get inside, get to the foul line.
Lyles turns the corner. Quick pass out to Mora, puts it up and in. Tied at 58 apiece.
And all three senior guards looked at each other, acknowledged each other, one with the pass, one with the shot. Excellent teamwork.
Ernie Duncan can't stem the tide. Long rebound back out to Bell Haynes, who attacks and runs into a brick wall. Foul called against Akin. The seniors continue to deliver on both ends of the floor.
Well, Lyles gets all the attention with the drive, 3 catamounts, but how about Grant's immediate location of his little man, the playmaker? I get another arrow to sling. Oh, that's just great stuff.
And you know what? You want a pass to be, quote, on time and on target. That pass was nowhere near on target, but Mora did a marvelous job of getting it off the deck and putting it in.
Well, that was the exact position that Grant had the open shot and missed it, and his coach just told him to shoot it. But that's how close these three are, Doug. He knew that Mora was open for the better shot, and he knocked it down.
2 big free throws for the senior from Toronto to put UVM back on top.
And I really like the way the senior, Trey Bell Haynes, took his time, got to the paint, and said, you know what, guys, we get a foul, we win the game, because we can knock down our free throws. Now they've got to come down and find these guards and keep them in front of you at all times.
Grant penetrates, hangs, no.
A good job by Everett Duncan just walling up in the air. As we mentioned earlier, he did not try to block the shot. Grant had the good angle. He just left it on the front rim.
Trey Bell Haynes playing a dangerous game right there with the basketball. He's got it back with under 10 to shoot.
KJ Moore has repetitively reached on the help, and boy, that would be a tough way to get a 5th foul.
Tough shot. Vermont has just one made field goal in the last 6.5 minutes. And in spite of that, the Catamounts hold a 2-point lead with under 4 to go between now and the chance to cut down the nets. The emotion of Champ Week cannot be understated. And it's not just the mid-majors. Look at John Beeline. Look at inside that Michigan locker room last week at Madison Square Garden. Tim Cluse for the Iona Gales. They have dominated the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference. They're going dancing once again. And how about the emotion for Derek Kellogg, fired from UMass, from his alma mater, taking a bath at LIU Brooklyn, and from one school and one league to another. Mark Plansky, it never gets old.
Boy, I'm glad they went to the no orange Gatorade rule, because those would be some ruined dress shirts.
And this is what's on the line here in Burlington, Vermont, in front of a capacity, standing room only crowd, and a spot in the field of 68.
I tell you, Doug, the second half is all about protecting the basketball for UMBC. They have 1 turnover, folks, in this second half. 4 for the game in our plus 15 in points off turnovers. That's why they're down 2 and right in this ball game.
Lyles and Mora, the senior guards. Lyles has a step. Missed the shot. Ball loose. Trey Bell-Haynes has it.
I'm not sure why Lyles went to the left hand. He had separation, could have easily taken that with his right hand. Had the great angle drive.
Repeatedly in the second half, Mark, he has missed when he's gotten into the lane shots he typically would make.
That's part of the fatigue. Coach Becker mentioned at the 12-minute break with Olivia, and that was his hope, that over time we're going to wear him down.
5 to shoot. Bell-Haynes, no. UMBC has it under 3 minutes to go. Mora back to Lyles. Quick step, shovel pass. Curran throws it down.
That's the biggest shot that sophomore has hit in his career, because look at the reaction on the bench. That was outstanding and a great find by Lyles on the penetration.
UMBC 60, Vermont 60. The #1 seed trying to hold off the #2 seed. Peyton Henson strong to the rack, and he will shoot two.
Well, the big guys are showing the skill now, Doug Sherman. Look at this. The drive by Lyles. Everyone comes to help. Max says, give me some of this. I mean, 205, you got to be kidding me. That's 167 pounds coming right at you with a flush.
Olivia can add more to the last huddle from the Retrievers.
Yeah, guys, Coach Odom loves Max Curran taking that shot right under the basket, but he made it clear to his team, give it to Jairus and KJ Mora. They have a combined 30 points. Those are the shooters they want to stick with, and he really cares about shot selection in these last couple of minutes, but he said, do what we do.
It's an excellent point, Olivia, but credit Max Curran for having his hands ready as the rotations came from the Catamounts defense, and then no hesitation, Doug, just went up and threw it down. Almost like Trey Bell-Haynes was standing next to Olivia, listening to Coach Odom as he's trying to deny Lyles the ball.
Lyles pulls up, a little too strong off the window. Big stop for UVM with under 2 minutes to play.
Great on-the-ball defense by the two-time Conference Player of the Year, Trey Bell-Haynes. Really squared up Lyles.
Trey Bell-Haynes. Henson killed his dribble. 7 on the timer. Bell-Haynes had it taken away by Lyles. Here come the Retrievers. Flaring out for 3. No. Out of bounds. Catamounts ball. I wanted Jairus Lyles there to attack as opposed to find the three-point shooter.
I mean, that's a quote that is inside Coach Odom's head without question. You want to have your man with the basketball, but you know what? He made a good pass. Grant was open. But credit the defense. Did you see that closeout? He flew at him. Now, maybe Grant should have given a little ball fake, but in the moment, minute and 20 seconds left to go to hit the game-winning 3 or the go-ahead 3, that's very, very tough to ask of your senior guard, Jordan Grant. But I agree with you, man. Lyles, have the ball, keep it in his hand.
Well, the officials have gone to the scores table to check this last out of bounds to make sure they've got the possession right. The call on the floor was that UMBC was last to touch, and that certainly appears to me on that replay to be the case.
This is great effort by Lyles. I'm not sure. Did it maybe hit the back porch at the baseline? So the referee's asking us right now, Doug, do we have all the same feeds that they have across the court? And the answer is yes.
Well, I'm telling you, there is a buzz back on the Commons right now on the UMBC campus in Catonsville, Maryland, getting ready to explode if the Retrievers can pull the upset. This is a huge call that the officials want to make sure they get right.
That I'm not sure that last baseline angle is enough to overturn the call.
No, I think it'll stand. Well, UMBC needed a 13-hour trip on Wednesday to get here to Burlington, Vermont. We're right at the northern edge of Vermont. We're about 30 miles from Canada, and to get from Baltimore through a storm as we take another look. Of course, we had a second nor'easter in the Northeast. It took them 13 hours to fly to Providence and then bust through the storm to get here. But it'll be all well worth it if the Retrievers can pull off the upset.
Boy, I don't know. I mean, I don't see how you can overturn this. It's just, I'm not sure. It definitely hits Urquhart's leg there, but does it hit Lyles again?
They have reversed it. So they saw something that made them certain. So DJ Karstensen, the lead official, has just come over to tell Mark what the determination was.
The ball went off of the Catamount's leg, and the rotation did not change and dropped out of bounds. So therefore, it's UMBC basketball. That was a close one.
KJ Mora will inbound and then get it back. 1:17 left in the second half.
Well, and now you've had the guards, especially Lyles, got a couple of minutes to rest those legs, and he's going to have the basketball.
Over Trey Bell Haynes for 2. 62 apiece.
Sure looks a lot like Kyrie Irving, doesn't he? He has to be exhausted, folks. That is a clutch finish.
Vermont has missed its last 5 shots from the floor. They need one to go down with 10 to shoot. Trey Bell Haynes, little change of direction, and he is blocked. Shot clock is off. UMBC can win it for the championship here.
And Coach Odom is saying no timeout. That's how confident he is with this guy. This allows you the basketball. I don't want to mess anything up. Go win us a championship.
Jairus Lyles uses the ball screen with 3 seconds. 2, puts it up and in. There's time on the clock. But UMBC leads 65-62, moments away from going dancing.
How many coaches in America would not call timeout in that possession? You're on the road. You need to tell your team we've got the last possession and we need to execute a play. Now, hey, scratch that. Give it to Mr. Lyles.
When you've got senior guards like Jairus Lyles, KJ Mora, and Jordan Grant, you tell them just go win the championship.
And he has gotten to the paint so well. Trey Bell Haynes was leaning back and he just pulled right up and knocks it down.
Wow.
And I tell you what, Doug, you saw the extra arc. The ball actually went out of our frame. And that's when you're tired, young guys, young girls out there. When your legs are down, use that upper body, use that elbow, and throw it to the roof. And it came down nothing but net.
The officials are making sure how much time they want on the clock. It stopped with half a second. And if they put a little bit more, perhaps that gives Vermont a chance. But it's going to be tough because of the shot of the moment from the senior from Silver Spring, Maryland.
You can get a good look at it. Trey Bell Haynes contests, and it's almost like a rifle scope when you've got the hand in your face like that, Doug. As a shooter, you want to put it right over the fingertip of the defense, and then look at the excitement.
Well, you know his mom, Carol Motley, loves that shot from Jairus. So after the review, they put 1/10 of a second back on the clock. So with 6/10 of a second, what could UVM possibly do to get off a legitimate three-point shot?
It's enough time to catch and shoot. So they have to throw it high and get it down to Urquhart. And maybe a quick tip play, but I don't think you have time for a tip.
Henson with the long pass. And UMBC is going dancing in 2018. go over to Olivia with the hero of the day.
Okay, Jairus, you had the shot of the day, and in the final couple seconds, your coach didn't take a timeout. What does that confidence feel like from your coach and from your team in that shot?
That's a shot I've been working on all season. After practice, before practice. So he called a play, I waved it off, said I'm going to take it myself, but I just made a shot.
The Retrievers haven't won here in a decade. What does it feel like to be a part of this group to do that?
It's a special moment. To do it with these guys, you know how far we've come, so it's very special.
Okay, man, you're going to the tournament. What does this team have to do to get ready for that?
We just got to wait for Selection Sunday, read the scout reports, and go where we're supposed to go.
Good luck, Jairus.
Appreciate it.
Our final score, UMBC 65, Vermont 62 on the three-pointer by Jairus Lyles. For Mark Plansky and Olivia Harlan, I'm Doug Sherman. We now send you to the MEAC Championship between NC Central and Hampton in Norfolk, Virginia.